Learn on the road with Mike and Jennifer.
Good evening, everyone. You're very welcome to the Learn on the Road podcast with Mike and Jennifer.
All right, strap in, everyone. Get ready for some seriously unbelievable true stories from history.
We're talking events so wild.
So bizarre.
You'll be wondering if someone's playing a cosmic joke.
I mean,
Exploding whales.
a dancing plague.
A dead pope put on trial.
It's like reality took a hard left turn into the Twilight Zone.
But you know what's truly fascinating about these stories?
What is it?
When we dig a little deeper,
Yeah.
they reveal a lot about us.
Yeah.
Our relationship with nature, the weird things humans do, and all the crazy consequences that come back to bite us.
Okay, so to kick things off,
All right.
let's rewind back to 1932, Australia. Picture this. World War I vets, now farmers, find themselves facing a new enemy. Thousands upon thousands of emus.
Emus.
Yep, emus. And their weapon of choice, machine guns.
Okay, now that's a story I need to hear more about.
Oh, it's a wild one. It's called the Great Emu War, and believe it or not, it was a real thing.
So we've got these veterans used to fighting in the trenches,
Right.
and now they're battling giant birds with machine guns.
Right. You can't make this stuff up.
It sounds like something out of a Monty Python sketch.
It kind of does, but it's tempting to just laugh it off.
Yeah.
But it actually says a lot about human nature.
Like what?
This idea that we can control nature with brute force. The emus, well, they were a tough opponent. They ran circles around the military, showing us that nature often has the upper hand. All right, ready for another mind bender?
Hit me with it.
Fast forward a few centuries and hop over to Strasbourg in 1518. Now picture this. Hundreds of people dancing uncontrollably in the streets for days on end.
Dancing. Like a giant street party.
Not quite. This was no celebration. They were compelled to dance, driven by some unknown force. They danced until they collapsed from exhaustion. Some even died.
Wow, okay. That's creepy. What on earth was going on?
This is the infamous dancing plague of 1518. It's a medical mystery that still baffles experts today.
So what are the theories?
Well, there's ergot poisoning, which is caused by a fungus that can contaminate rye and cause hallucinations.
Hallucinations could explain the bizarre behavior.
But here's the thing. Ergot poisoning usually causes convulsions, not coordinated dancing.
Good point. So what else could it be?
Another theory is mass hysteria. Maybe the stresses of the time, like famine and disease, triggered this strange collective outbreak.
You know, that actually makes a lot of sense. When you think about the historical context, people were living through some pretty tough times.
Exactly. They were desperate, looking for explanations, maybe even an outlet for their anxieties. And somehow this dancing, as crazy as it seems, became their way of coping.
It's like their bodies were expressing what their minds couldn't process.
It's a fascinating example of how the human mind and body react under extreme pressure. Okay, from uncontrollable dancing, let's move on to something even more unbelievable, though far less lively.
Less lively. What could be less lively than dancing till you drop?
How about a dead pope being put on trial?
Wait, what?
Yeah, you heard that right. It's called the Cadaver Synod of 897 AD.
A dead pope on trial. That's got to be one for the history books.
Oh, it definitely is. To understand this one, you got to know a little about the Catholic Church back then. It was a hotbed of power struggles and political maneuvering.
So this dead pope trial, was it some kind of power play?
Absolutely. Pope Stephen VI, the guy in charge at the time, wanted to solidify his power. And what better way to do that than to discredit his dead predecessor, Pope Formosus?
By putting him on trial, even though he was, dead.
Exactly. They dug up his body, dressed him in papal robes, propped him up on a throne, and then accused him of all sorts of crimes.
That's both ridiculous and horrifying at the same time.
It was pure political theater, a gruesome spectacle designed to eliminate rivals and instill fear. And the verdict, you guessed it, guilty.
So what did they do? Give him a posthumous slap on the wrist?
Not exactly. They mutilated the corpse and tossed it in the Tiber River. Talk about holding a grudge.
It just goes to show you, sometimes the pursuit of power can lead to some truly bizarre and disturbing acts.
No kidding. But, sometimes it's not ambition, but our attempts to control nature that lead to the most outlandish outcomes.
Oh, I see where you're going with this. The exploding whale of Orion, that's a classic.
You know it. 1970. Picture a massive whale carcass washed up on the Oregon coast. The smell is unbearable, attracting tons of scavengers. The officials are freaking out, trying to figure out what to do.
And they decide to blow it up.
You got it. Dynamite. They figured, hey, let's blow this thing to bits and let the seagulls clean up the mess.
What could possibly go wrong?
Well, let's just say they underestimated the explosive power of a 45-ton whale.
So, what happened?
When they detonated that dynamite, blubber and whale bits rained down for hundreds of feet. Cars were wrecked, onlookers were showered in oily, stinky goo, and the smell, well, it didn't exactly improve.
It's the kind of story you just can't forget.
It definitely made a big, blubbery splash. And it's a perfect example of how sometimes the best solution is to just let nature run its course, even if it's a little smelly. But hey, at least nobody was seriously hurt in the whale explosion fiasco, right? Now, what if I told you that in 1919, a giant wave of molasses, yep, molasses, ripped through the streets of Boston, causing serious destruction and even deaths?
Molasses? Are you serious?
Dead serious. The Great Molasses Flood, as they call it, was a very real and tragic event.
How does a wave of molasses even happen?
Well, there was this massive molasses tank in Boston,
Okay.
poorly constructed, and it ruptured, releasing 2.3 million gallons of the sticky stuff.
2.3 million gallons. That's insane.
And it didn't just ooze out slowly either. It surged through the streets like a tsunami, moving faster than you'd think. Buildings were damaged, people were swept away, and the cleanup effort was a nightmare.
Molasses, who knew it could be so dangerous? So we've had emus, a dancing plague, a papal trial, an exploding whale, and a molasses tsunami.
It's like reality is trying to one-up itself in the weirdness category.
But, amidst all this chaos and destruction, there are also stories that highlight the incredible strength and resilience of the human spirit.
Absolutely. And for a truly amazing example of that resilience, we need to talk about Tsutomu Yamaguchi. This guy survived not one, but 2 atomic bombs.
Wait, 2? How is that even possible?
It's a story that defies the odds. Imagine being in Hiroshima on a business trip when the first bomb drops. You experience the unimaginable horror of that blast, the burns, the radiation sickness.
It's hard to even fathom.
Then, just a few days later, you return to your hometown of Nagasaki.
Oh, no.
And bam, you're caught in the second atomic bombing.
The odds of surviving 1 atomic blast are astronomical. But 2, that's beyond belief.
But Yamaguchi did survive. It's a testament to the human will to live. He went through immense physical and emotional suffering, but he never gave up.
What an incredible story of survival.
It really is. He went on to live a long life, becoming a vocal advocate for peace and nuclear disarmament.
He took his personal tragedy and turned it into a message of hope.
Exactly.
It's a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there's always hope.
Now, from atomic blasts and human resilience, let's step into the world of mystery and vanishing authors.
Ooh, this sounds intriguing.
In 1926, the famous mystery novelist Agatha Christie vanished without a trace.
Agatha Christie, the queen of crime.
The one and only. Poof, gone. It was a nationwide sensation. For 11 days, no one knew where she was. Theories flew around like confetti. Had she been kidnapped, run away, was a foul play?
What a mystery. So what happened?
Well, as suddenly as she vanished, she reappeared, claiming she had amnesia. To this day, we still don't know what really happened during those 11 days.
Talk about a real-life mystery worthy of one of her own novels.
Right. Some people think it was a publicity stunt. Others say it was a breakdown.
Whatever the reason, it's a story that continues to capture our imagination.
Speaking of stories that capture the imagination, how about a time when the River Thames, that iconic London landmark, became a source of olfactory offense, like a really bad smell?
Hold on, a stinky river.
Oh yeah, it's called the Great Stink of 1858. Imagine a stench so powerful,
Okay,
so pervasive,
I get the picture.
that it literally shut down Parliament.
Whoa, seriously.
The Thames was basically an open sewer, overflowing with human waste and industrial gunk. The smell was unbearable.
It must have been absolutely horrific.
It was a public health nightmare. Cholera, typhoid, you name it.
And the smell, I bet it was enough to knock you over.
Absolutely. But you know what? This stinky situation actually led to something good.
Oh,
What's that? It forced London to finally build a modern sewer system, designed by this brilliant engineer named Joseph Bazalgette. It was a massive project that changed the city forever.
So, out of the stench came progress.
Sometimes you need a good crisis to spur innovation, even if it involves holding your breath for a while.
I guess even a stinky situation can have a silver lining.
All right, ready for complete change of pace. From a stinky river, we jump to a man with a stomach of steel.
A stomach of steel.
Meet Michel Letido, better known as Monsieur Mangetout, which translates to Mr. Eat-All, and he lived up to that name.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What did he eat?
This guy ate everything. I'm not talking about weird food combos. I'm talking metal, glass, rubber, you name it.
Wait, he ate metal. How was that even possible?
He had a condition called pica, which means he craved non-food items. But even for pica, his case was off the charts. His digestive system seemed to defy all logic.
What was the craziest thing he ate?
Well, he's most famous for consuming an entire Cessna 150 airplane.
An airplane. You're kidding, right?
Nope. Piece by piece, over 2 years, he ate that whole plane.
That's just mind-blowing.
It really is.
Yep.
Monsieur Mangetout showed us the limits of what the human body can handle.
Okay, we've covered human resilience, a stinky river, and a man who could eat anything. What else you got?
Hold on tight, because our next stop is the Balloonfest of 1986. Picture this. Millions of balloons, all released into the sky at the same time, creating this incredible spectacle of color.
Sounds beautiful. What's the catch?
It was meant to be a world record-breaking charity-raising event, all good intentions, right?
Right.
But they didn't quite account for the unpredictability of, well, the weather.
Oh, I see where this is going.
A cold front rolled in, forcing all those balloons to descend prematurely.
Oh, no.
And suddenly, Cleveland was blanketed in a sea of brightly colored debris.
I bet the cleanup was fun.
Oh yeah, that was just the start. The descending balloons caused traffic accidents and even interfered with a Coast Guard search and rescue operation. Lawsuits followed.
Wow. The Balloonfest quickly went from a feel-good event to a full-blown disaster. A good lesson for all of us.